Well, the main difference is that the British English keeps the words it has absorbed from other languages, mainly French and German, whilst the American English spellings are based mostly on how the word sounds.
Again, this is just a rumor.
English was introduced to what is modern-day America in the 17th century by the British settlers. Since then, the language has evolved and has been influenced by the many waves of immigration to the USA.
Hell.
The divergence in spelling stems from the fact that there were two different dictionaries created at the time. The American and British dictionaries are different because they were compiled by very different authors who had very different perspectives on the language. So the UK's dictionary was compiled by scholars from London while seeking to wrest control of the language from the British ruling classes. Noah created 3 books, one on reading, one on spelling, and one on grammar. His first, originally titled The First Book of the Grammatical Institute of the English Language, then the American Spelling, then the Elementary Spelling Book, became a standard textbook from which teachers in America taught spelling for 100 years. Webster dropped the letter U from words like honor, color, and favor to make them color, honor, and favor. And he did the same to words ending with ISE to make them IZE. Differences between the two include pronunciation, spelling, grammar, vocabulary, formatting of dates and numbers, and punctuation. This divergence between American English and British English has provided opportunities for humorous content. Oscar Wilde says that we have everything in common with America nowadays, except, of course, the language. Henry Sweet incorrectly predicted in 1877 that within a century, American English, Australian English, and British English would be mutually unintelligible.
So you'll have a lot of duties. I see. But there'll be perhaps 30 people under you, so you can dump a certain amount on them.
Good to know.
Perhaps increased communication through radio, television, the internet, and globalization has tended to reduce regional variation. Some differences in usage or meaning can cause confusion or embarrassment. For example, the word fanny is a slang word for vulva in British English but means buttocks in American English. The American phrase fanny pack is bum bag in British English. As chronicled by Winston Churchill, the opposite meanings of the verb to table created a misunderstanding in a meeting of the Allied forces. In British English, to table an item on an agenda means to open it up for discussion, whereas in American English it means to remove it from discussion. For example, let's table that for later. Speakers of British English are likely to understand some American expressions, for example, sidewalk, gas, counterclockwise, elevator, without any problem, thanks in part to a considerable exposure to popular American culture. Certain terms that are heard less frequently, and especially those that are rare in American popular culture, copacetic, are unlikely to be understood by British English speakers. In the UK, the term period for a full stop is not used. In American English, the term full stop is rarely, if ever, used for punctuation mark. For example, Tony Blair said, "Terrorism is wrong, full stop," whereas in American English, the equivalent sentence would be something like, "Terrorism is wrong, period." In answering a question, such as tea or coffee, if either alternative is acceptable, an American may say, "I don't care," whereas a British may respond, "I don't mind." A number of English idioms that have essentially the same meaning show lexical differences between the British English and American English versions. According to a survey by the CEO World magazine, the British accent has been rated the most attractive English accent in the world. The results were revealed in a global study which questioned 96,398 people across 32 countries worldwide to list the most attractive English accents other than their own. The survey ranked 31 different accents in terms of their attractiveness. It revealed that 68% of respondents said that they couldn't resist the British English accent. The Irish English accent came second with 57%, and the Australian English accent came third with 53%. Fourth was American English accent, and making up the top 5 was French English accent. In Great Britain, if someone is talking about a range of things, they'll say everything from A to Z. Much of modern English alphabet comes directly from the Greek alphabet, and the symbol is pronounced zeta, whereas in America, this letter is pronounced Z. Dr. Adam Crowley, professor of English, attributes this variation to the regional dialects. He suggests that the popularity of Z grew because it rhymes with so many other letters like B, P, and C. There's no other letter that ends with ad sound. After the Revolutionary War, Americans were trying to establish an identity separate from the British. From its non-metric system of measurement to Fahrenheit temperatures, and language played a big role in this. The Queen's English is also often called the BBC English. It is the standard English which most non-native English speakers associate with people from the UK. It includes received pronunciation, the posh accent that the Queen uses. Received pronunciation arrived in Britain in the 19th century as a way to show that you were well educated. It was supposed to cover any regional accents so no one would know where you were from. It was then adopted by BBC in 1922 so that everybody could understand their radio broadcasts. Surprisingly, American English is older than British English in pronunciation.
How? When?
When the first settlers set sail from England to America, they took with them what was common tongue at the time, based on something called rhotic speech, when you pronounce R sound in a word. So we got to this tree and the dog was right under the tree looking straight up, yelling his little head off, shine that flashlight up, and sure enough, up in that tree was just a big fat opossum. Now the tree was maybe about 6 inches in diameter, wasn't that big, and the leaves had already fallen off that tree because it was fall. There were a lot of trees that still had leaves on them. Meanwhile, back in the wealthy southern cities of the UK, people from the new higher classes wanted a way to distinguish themselves from other people.
In the early days, I had to do a showcase for the record label, and I was into prosthetics back then, because I've been a bit of an art school student, you get ripped out with blood bags and all that.
So they started changing their rhotic speech to a non-rhotic, when you don't pronounce R sound in a word, for example, winter.
If you're having an argument about an issue, stick to the issue. Don't start getting personal and or spiteful, that's the one in it. We were arguing and he sort of just lost it, and I just said, "Oh, shut up, you monkey feet."
So this new way of speaking, which British refer to as received pronunciation, spread across the rest of south of England. There are two main causes. The first one is isolation. The early colonists had only sporadic contact with the mother country. And the second is exposure to other languages. The early colonists came into contact with Native American languages and other settlers who spoke Swedish, French, Spanish, Dutch. All of these languages influenced American English, as did English-speaking colonists' origins in different parts of England, Wales, and Scotland. Later, as metropolitan cities such as Boston and New York City had more contact with England, they adopted the then trendy R-less accents of the upper class. All in all, general American English is rhotic, and speakers pronounce the R in words like par. In contrast, the BBC type of English is non-rhotic, where speakers don't pronounce the R. So instead of pronouncing hard, they would say hard.
Ooh, this is my first content on YouTube, as you can tell. And you can let me know if you like the content by hitting the like button. And if you don't like it, you can dislike it. And I'm looking forward to your feedback and comments, guys. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.